The John Muir Wilderness is 652,700 acres. So there's some big areas. And just like most of California, beautiful parks, wilderness areas. They've kind of got everything over there.
Yeah, and this area is just jam-packed with parks. And so you've got Kings Canyon National Park, and then directly to the south, sharing a border with it, is Sequoia National Park. And then obviously you have Inyo National Forest.
That's those really big trees, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you've got the Inyo National Forest to the east of the parks. You've got the Sierra National Forest kind of to the northwest, and then Sequoia National Forest to the west, and the John Muir Wilderness is kind of mixed in with the Inyo and Sierra National Forests. So a lot of stuff going on, and both those parks are managed jointly.
It makes sense. We're basically like connected almost.
Yeah, so you hear a lot of people just call it Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Park.
Yeah, I think if you get the maps from National Geographic, they just merge it into one.
Yeah.
They have like 2 or 3 maps for the whole area, but they merge it. So Kings Canyon National Park sees roughly just shy of 500,000 visitors. This is 2022 numbers.
2020.
2020 numbers. 2022. Like as well.
Yeah.
That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Sequoia was the first park created to protect a living organism. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Some other facts. Before Kings Canyon, there was General Grant National Park. Sequoia is home to the tallest mountain in the lower 48, which is Mount Whitney at 14,494 feet. Sequoias are some of the largest and oldest trees in the world. They can live over 3,000 years and grow as tall as 180 feet to 250 feet.
It's tall.
Gee, I've never seen them. My wife has gone. Some of my kids have gone when she was there on business, and I mean,
I have not seen a sequoia tree either in person.
That's got to be wild. I mean, that's taller than most buildings.
Yeah, I mean that's
a tree. That's insane.
Yeah, it's like a 25-story tree.
That's so wild. So the parks have over 800 miles of trails. Mountaineering is very popular in this park.
Yeah, and anyone who's ever gone there, there's a lot of peaks to climb, which would explain why it's a popular destination.
I'm going to pull it. I'm not sharing it yet, but I'll just pull up the...
Okay, while you're pulling, I can go into climate a little.
Yeah, do the Köppen climate classification system.
Our friends at the Köppen climate classification system.
I love talking about it like it's an actual place where people work.
It probably is.
I don't think it is.
It's probably a government organization. Probably
it's just like an office in DC.
It's one person.
Oh, it's probably in Sweden.
Yeah,
it's like it's right in the middle of CERN. It's the center of the CERN. So they do the thing around them, and they just talk about the climate. None of that is true.
None of that's true. That is all false. So most of Kings Canyon National Park has a warm summer Mediterranean climate, with only the lowest of elevations having a hot summer Mediterranean climate. Average temps vary pretty widely in the park. You've got upper 70s in July and August to lows ranging from the mid-20s and 30s in November to April. Same with just like temperatures, rainfall varies quite a bit depending on what time of year you go. You can get 8 inches of rain on average in January to as little as 0.16 inches in September. And June through September are typically very dry months in the park. Park also gets a lot of snow depending on where you are. Average snowfall ranges from 44.8 inches in February to no snow from July to September. And December to March are the snowiest months of the year. And in all, the park gets about 186 inches of snow every year, which is mainly in the upper elevations. So what are you're pulling up all trails?
Yeah, it's whatever reason, Google Earth has been like lagging.
Yeah.
They've had an update and it's been lagging. So if anyone listens, it's a Google engineer. Google Earth is lagging when I click and drag. So you're at terrain. I'll take it up from there.
Yeah.
So Kings Canyon National Park features terrain similar to Yosemite Valley. With its deep valleys, skyscraping trees, and distinctive rock outcroppings, Kings Canyon National Park is the place that John Muir once called a rival to Yosemite. So
fighting words.
It's beautiful.
It is.
It's like, which park's more great?
Yeah.
The park is named after Kings Canyon, which is carved out of the meandering King River. Along with Kings Canyon, the park is renowned for the steep, rugged, and sometimes vertical reliefs across this part of the Sierra Nevada mountains. The park is generally divided into two distinct sections: the smaller and older western section and the larger eastern section. Most tourist facilities are located in the western part of the park near Grant Grove. Grant Grove houses the park's infamous sequoias, including General Grant, the second largest tree in the world, and that's measured by the trunk's volume. What they're saying, I think the tallest one, right, that we talked about this in other episodes, it's hidden. They don't tell you where it is. Like, you can't find it.
Yeah, I've read that somewhere. Someone will correct us if we're wrong, but I think I think some people might know its location, but they do not.
They don't advertise it.
Yeah, advertise it.
Obviously, some people know.
Yeah,
but they don't like doing it so people don't mess with it, I'm sure.
Yeah, because humans are stupid, and we would go there and just destroy it.
Yeah, be like, I won't chop down the tree and build 14 houses out of it.
Yeah.
The eastern section of the park contains the majority of the park's area and is almost entirely wilderness. Cedar Grove, which sits at the bottom of Kings Canyon, is the only part of the eastern section that is accessible by road and is the most popular destination for travelers looking to explore the more rugged reaches of the canyon. That's where we would go.
Yeah.
Kings Canyon's impressive mountainous landscape contains several Sierra Crest peaks that exceed 14,000 feet in elevation, including North Palisades, the third highest mountain in the Sierra Nevada range, Mount Sill, Pulmonium Peak. We're going to get so much hate. Pulmonium Peak.
I think.
Split Mountain and Thunderbolt Peak.
Thunderbolt Peak sounds like they get a lot of lightning.
Yeah, or it gets none.
Yeah,
it's like
ironically named.
like Little John.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Pulmonium
Peak.
There we go.
Someone's going to comment like, I hate your show. I live next to that mountain and you said it wrong. I'm angry now at everything you do. And for those of you wondering why I said that, become a patron supporter and listen to our call-ins and customer complaints.
Yes.
Okay. Nearby, craggy, iconic Sierra Nevada summits like Middle Palisades and Disappointment Peak, just like my dad says about me. No, I'm just kidding. My dad likes me. And Mount Stanford reach well beyond 13,000 feet. Disappointment Peak. That's hilarious. Like the guy who named it tried summiting several times and just could never make it.
Right.
The Sierra Crest forms the eastern boundary of the park from Mount Goth to north to the Junction Peak at the boundary of Sequoia National Park. The park's highest peaks also retain permanent snowfields and glaciers, like Palisade Glacier, the largest in the Sierras, which is located near the park's edge in the John Muir Wilderness. Needless to say, although the park is best known for its stunning forested landscape, it contains plenty of alpine regions to explore, hanging valleys, cascading waterfalls, and serrated ridges that can be found scattered throughout the high country. Like nearby Yosemite Valley, U-shaped glacial valleys found in Kings Canyon are characterized by the flat floors and exposed craggy granite cliffs and domes. Glacial features like Tepet Dome, the largest granite dome in the Sierras, rise abruptly from the valley floor. I'm going to do that one too.
Okay.
Here we go.
Tehipite.
You
were way off.
I was way off. That's right. So some of the dangers that are present. Animals, bobcats and mountain lions. So occasionally seen, they're usually watching you and you don't know it. Bobcats are slightly larger than a house cat and have bob tails. In comparison, mountain lions are much larger and have long tails. I was just a guy that was at my party this weekend that I went in the Rockies with. We were talking about it. We were at our first camp climbing up Long's Peak.
Yeah.
And it was close enough to the parking lot at night. One of our guys was missing something, and we were the two most experienced. We're like, we will hike down to the parking lot, get the stuff, and come back. And it was night. We're hiking down, and we're just looking around because it's beautiful out. Shine the lights up. 8 feet above us on a ledge, just two giant eyes, just glowing, just staring at us.
Was it a mountain lion or bobcat?
It was a mountain lion.
Yeah.
It was following us the whole time.
It
wasn't like an attack, but it was like checking us out. It was the most terrifying thing ever. So we stuck, close together and had the bear spray ready. Those are scary. That's just like when we were in Nevada. We woke up and all the prints were around our tents.
Oh, yeah.
And we didn't hear a thing. And they were like circling our tents. They were pretty big paw prints. And we're like, did anyone hear it? Nope.
Yeah, we had in Canada, like one of the first couple years I was hiking, we were camping one night and probably 20 feet away from our tents were grizzly tracks that we found the next morning that were fresh. We're like, well, that's terrifying.
Yeah, you just slept right through it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, they could have killed us if they wanted to.
We did have proper bear storage of our food, so he couldn't smell anything in our camp, so it's probably why he kept moving.
Yeah, or he did smell you, and that's why he kept moving. So fully grown, mountain lions can weigh between 70 and 180 pounds, and if seen, would appear bigger than a large dog. Mountain lions usually run off when seen. If you see a mountain lion that doesn't run, do not run. Running may trigger pursuit. Pick up children. Try to appear as large as possible. Do not crouch down. Hold your ground and back away slowly while facing the cougar. If the cougar acts aggressively, wave your hands and shout. Throw some stones or sticks at it. If attacked, fight back. This also works in LA. I'm never gonna let that go.
Yeah,
there's lots of cougars there. Black bears. Black bears, though not always black, are found throughout Sequoia and Kings Canyon National Parks. They forage for natural food, digging up roots in meadows, ripping apart logs, and peering into tree cavities for insects. Unfortunately, when human food becomes available, they learn to forage for human food in place of natural food because it's full of sugar and it tastes amazing.
Yeah.
If they obtain our food even just one time, bears begin to break into cars, tents, and cabins. They can become aggressive towards people to obtain that food. So while visiting the park, you can protect the bears by storing camping food properly and viewing wildlife at a safe distance. Leave no trace.
And in areas where there are grizzlies, they'll even go a step further. And if there's a grizzly that's been attacking campsites, they'll actually go out there and shoot it. Yep. So
that was happening while we were out in Glacier.
Yeah.
They were going to euthanize one.
Yeah, so it's just really important that you follow all the rules with storing your food. It will save the bear's life and potentially save yours if a hungry bear comes walking by your tent.
Well, and how many grizzlies do we have in lower 48? Isn't it like only 500 or 600? It's a small number.
I don't want to say a number because there seems to be a lot of grizzly experts that listen.
Yeah.
And we don't need to clog up the voicemail line on bear comments, but I think Alaska has a good supply of them.
I'm so wrong. I think that might have been like in California. I remember doing an episode where he said it was like only in the hundreds. It says there's 60,000 wild grizzly bears are located throughout North America.
Okay.
But I'm guessing it's mostly Canada. Nope. 30,000 in Alaska, 29,000 in Canada. In the lower 48, it's around 1,000. Okay. So I wasn't too far off.
Okay.
So yeah. All right. So yeah, it's mostly in Canada and Alaska. So I did say lower 48. I said like 600, so I was only like 400 off.
Hey, you were off though.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna get yelled at anyway. Even though I've corrected it, they're like, "Well, you were wrong."
Yeah.
1-star review, and I hope something terrible happens to you. There are also rattlesnakes. I'm gonna keep going. Rattlesnakes are common in Sequoia foothills and Kings Canyon at low elevations where you put your hands and feet. So do not harass or kill them. This is when most bites occur. Bites are rarely lethal, but tissue damage can be severe.
And keep an eye out when you're rounding trail corners. Like we were hiking out in.
We were going to.
Oh, we were with Ben.
Yep.
We were going to that weird amphitheater place where we found the guy who said he invented Disney songs. I can't remember his name now.
Oh, his trail name?
Yeah.
We said it in another episode.
But yeah, remember we were kind of coming around a curve on a trail and there was a rattlesnake on it, and I've never seen Ben jump that high into the air.
He had like a 6-foot vertical.
Yeah.
Like off a back foot. Like he could have jumped over us.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
But you got to keep an eye out too. Like you may be tired and you're kind of just, if you're on a meandering, winding trail, the snakes will come out and, in the sunlight. And
well, that was after the rainfall. So all of them were out on the rocks getting like their heat back because it was so cold.
Yeah.
And yeah, he almost stepped on it. Didn't even notice it. It was hilarious. It was hilarious because nobody got hurt.
Yeah.
Terrain can be an issue. High altitude. So many hiking trails in parks are at an elevation of 5,000 feet or above. For people not accustomed to hiking at elevation, your body may not be acclimated to its lower oxygen levels. This can cause shortness of breath, dehydration. Altitude illness can strike anyone at any time. Allow time for a slow ascent, adjusting gradually to the altitude, and be sure to drink plenty of water. Even at the higher altitudes, typically above 8,000 feet, altitude sickness can occur. Symptoms can be mild to moderate, include dizziness, fatigue, and headache, shortness of breath, and rapid heart rate. If you experience these symptoms, the best treatment is to descend to lower altitude, and that is literally it.
That's really the only way.
If you're getting bad, you have to go down.
Yeah.
And then you can, if you come back, you can try going up again. But there's like no pill or anything that will.
And
I mean, it might make you feel better, but if you're getting actually altitude sick, you have to descend.
And from what I've found from my experience in hiking in a high altitude and with other people is Conditioning is a part of it, but I think a part of it is genetic. Some people just react differently to high altitude.
Yeah.
And you could be in the best condition of your life, and you might still get sick at 7,000 feet and someone else doesn't.
Yeah, there always seems to be someone who just never does well.
Yeah.
But while I was just in Colorado, I shared those pictures. One of the guys in our group skis in Colorado regularly.
Yeah.
Like no issues. He was sick the entire time.
Yeah.
Like he had to get an IV. Like it was bad.
Oh, wow.
So it can strike, but yeah, you'll know, and just don't keep going up if it's getting bad.
Yeah.
Some of the other things, hot weather. You can think of what that includes if you're exposed to sunlight. High temperatures, often above 100 degrees, can happen during summer days and early fall months. So just drink plenty of water, bring hats, sunscreen, keep your skin covered.
Yeah.
Then the opposite at night, hypothermia can happen if you're there through the winter or as the cool air settles in, and if you're wet at night. Some of the symptoms of hypothermia include shivering, memory loss, stumbling, confusion, and sleepiness. People suffering hypothermia often don't recognize they are in danger.
We use hypothermia as one of the reasons why someone went missing all the time, just because it causes confusion.
Yeah, I saw it firsthand in Longs Peak. Someone actually just died there
really?
at the Keyhole. That's right where we were. But we were going through a snowstorm, and two of our group, we split into two groups of two people.
Yeah.
So we don't ever go alone. They went on ahead to set up camp, and we were waiting for one person. And then as we were coming up, they were hiking back.
Yeah.
And they were soaked, and we're like, where are you going? They're like, we're going back to the car. The car is 2.5 days away. Yeah. And we're like, what do you mean? They're like, we're wet. We're going to the car.
Yeah.
And I said, no, we have to set up camp. You have to put dry clothes on. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, we put our dry clothes. So in the rain, they took off their wet clothes and put on their dry clothes.
Yeah.
And didn't set the tent up. Like they were so delirious.
Yeah.
So we had to heat them up, get them some hot cocoa and all that stuff. But you can make really bad, dumb decisions when you're in the early stages of hypothermia.
Yeah. This next one we've never talked about. I've talked about it a few times just for camping.
Yes.
But I figured because it's
Widowmakers.
Yeah, it's just interesting to mention this one.
Yeah, I don't think people think about this. So
No.
trees.
Yeah.
So trees can kill people.
Yes.
Branches and trees may fall whether or not they're dead and whether there is no wind. Animals run in those trees, so if it's a weak branch, whatever, you keep an eyes and ears open. If you hear cracks or snapping, just get away from those types of trees. Don't linger or camp under dead or cracked or broken trees. Those are called widowmakers. So that's where you're sleeping in your camp and a tree literally falls on you.
Every time I set up tent out in the backcountry, I always check.
Yeah, which
what's
way are
above
they
it.
leaning?
Yeah.
You want them leaning away.
Yeah.
Over 100 people die in the U.S. from falling trees and branches every year. Driving the mountain roads. So elevation within Sequoia and Kings Canyon range from 1,300 feet to 1,404 feet. Extreme elevation changes over short distances means park roads are steep, narrow, and winding. Winter conditions may exist at the higher elevations between November and June. So follow these recommendations. Downshift when going downhill. That means you don't slam on your brakes. You want to keep your wheels moving so that you keep traction. Use turnouts if you're driving slow or viewing wildlife. Watch out for wildlife. And fill up before entering the park so you don't run out of gas.
Yep. They don't sell it in the park.
Yeah, that's a big one. I think people, this one I don't think we've brought up. If you're going through the mountains and you're doing a lot of downhill driving, you do not want to use your brakes all the time.
Yeah.
You want to engine brake. And that is where a lot of cars will have pictures of a car going downhill. You can hit that button. And what that does, it downshifts your car and uses the engine rev to slow the car down as opposed to your brakes. Mm-hmm. If you overheat your brakes, they can fail.
Yeah.
And then you have nothing to stop you. And that's where you see those trucks careening down the road and they have to go in those little chutes of sand.
Yeah.
That's what happens when your brakes fail. So you don't want to do that, especially if you're not trained in how to deal with it.
Yeah.
One of the things we do talk about, lightning activity in the Sierras. During the summer months, it is common. Thunderhead seen far off in the distance can be an indicator of impending lightning activity, and you should seek shelter or to lower ground. If you get caught in a lightning event and are unable to seek safe haven, avoid the high locations, wet areas, heavily treed places, and rock ledges or overhangs. You crouch low, and using a Vibram or rubber-soled shoes as an insulator, crouching on a foam sleeping pad can also provide protection. And my favorite thing, stick your butt in the air. Stick your butt in the air. So it hits your butt and goes out your legs.
Yeah.
Then it avoids all your critical bodily organs. And then last but not least, any type of river crossing. We have talked about this in the show.
Yeah.
If you're crossing any river, I don't care how shallow it is or how small it is, unless it's something you can like hop over entirely, assume there's an undercurrent and something that could take you away. So you always want to be holding on to something. You don't want to just go in raw, and you definitely don't want to be attached to your backpack. You want to have that thing unclipped, maybe hanging over a shoulder so you can abandon it if you get swept away. Backpack and you attached to it, and strainer points equals drowning.
Yeah.
So, and it's cold. You'll get hypothermia, and so rivers and water are very hazardous. So difficulty in general. The hike up the summit of Split Mountain is very challenging. So this thing has 7,444 feet of elevation gain in only 6.5 miles roughly.
That is tough.
That is like very tough.
Yeah.
So it's a 13.7 mile out and back trail that's an average of 11 hours and 49 minutes to complete. So we have it kind of pulled up here. That is I don't know why that just disappeared. Like, that's weird. It's a very tough trail.
Yeah.
Say. Why is it doing that? I'm gonna refresh it. Like, it just half the screen went away. Whatever. So that one is for technical climbers, people that have done this type of stuff before. It is not simple. I think the first, look at that, it did it again. I wanted to see what the first comment was on this thing because it was really funny.
I read it. It was
yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
1 star. We could not find the trailhead. So they even says that you can't even get to the trailhead unless you have a 4-wheel drive vehicle.
Yeah, I mean, I read through a ton of the reviews on All Trails, and a lot of the commonalities were the trail is hard to follow due to old cairns. So the trail disappears at times, and there's a lot of tough boulder fields to navigate.
Yeah.
So
those are the cairns that you're supposed to either add to or not touch because they help you navigate.
yeah.
I bet this guy gave us a 1-star rating on our show too because he's an idiot. He rated it a star. I can't find the trailhead, so it's 1 star. So
that is kind of a very detailed description of